as you're telling your story, and I really appreciate it, and I resonate with a lot of it too. But there's the word identity that comes up over and over in my head because that's my own language. But when you're
Mhm.
telling your story, it looks like, who am I? What's my identity?
Yes.
Right? There's a struggle when you don't have a place to plant your identity, and then there's also a struggle for there's a resistance to evolve that identity. I am no longer that this identity served me for years and years and years. Finally, thank God I landed on an identity. So I worked so hard to get this identity. I know I need to evolve and change, but this is who I am, right? And so that
Yes.
there's that conflict of this identity, which is kind
Yeah.
of resonating in your story. I'm curious about how you help people from the second part of it. Okay, I am a mother, I am a real estate, there's all these I ams, I ams, I
Yes.
ams, I
Yes. Yes. Yes.
ams.
Yes.
In my world, that translates to, here's a real estate agent who's been in the business for 7 8 years and is consistently closing 6 to 9 deals a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all they can do. And yeah, they're doing a bunch. I have to change the identity.
Yes.
It doesn't, you cannot start with do this, do this, do this, and you'll grow your business. I first have to start with, you have a poor man's mentality. You
Yeah.
have seven transactions a year is, you have that mindset. And until you
Yeah.
can think, until you can get the identity of, I'm the person that does 25 transactions a year, you'll stay sub 10 for forever and ever. Amen. I don't care what your strategy is, right? And you can kind of
Yeah.
make that little click. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes. 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 And thank you for bringing that up because yeah, that a lot of people, well, most of us, including myself, we suffer from this, right? Mentally, you tell yourself that you want this, 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 and that. However, for whatever reason, you cannot push yourself past it. So it's
Mm.
like, how is it that that just enough just happens to be there all the time, but then you cannot get past it, right? But then you have people who, no matter what they do, it seems like things just feel like a struggle. They're putting the effort, they're working hard, they're doing this or whatever, whatever, and it
Mm.
just feels like a struggle. But then you see some other people, it doesn't seem like they're trying that hard, but they're just breezing through. It's just things just working. It's like,
I
what
have a
is
I
this
have a client
about?
I have a client who lives downtown, or used to live. He's since moved. But
Yeah.
he had a last year, he did like 27 million in sales, something like that. And 85% of that business came from playing pickleball. And so we would get on these calls, and he used me to help keep him from going off the rails. That's basically, I was like his mother. It was like, don't
Yeah.
do this, don't do this. He's like, dude, he's like, this
You
is
don't have
easy.
to
He's like,
try that hard. That's the thing, right? So
some
to
of us
me,
do, I guess.
well, here's the thing though. This is what I found, right? And this is through the research and finally getting to the bottom of this. It's not necessarily because everywhere you go, that's like you have to change your mindset, right? You have to get into that money mindset. You have to get into that success mindset.
Mm.
Well, you can get into the mindset all you want to, but if you live in this energy field, the energy field determines your experience. So I know people who are doing very well financially, but they're still feeling like they're struggling, right? Now, for someone who doesn't have a lot of money in the bank, they may think it's the amount of money they don't have in the bank that is the reason why they feel like they're struggling. But I can tell you there's people who make a lot of money, but still feel like they're struggling for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You may not know on the outside because you see that one nice car and you see they live in a nice house or whatever, they're taking trips to Europe. However, they're still living in that mindset of struggle. Why is it so hard to get rid of? Because you live in the energy field of struggle. You live in the energy field of just enough. That's the survival part, right? So if you come from an environment where surviving is what you are used to, and doing just enough was victory enough, right? You get stuck in that minefield where just doing enough, it's all you're ever going to be able to achieve. No matter how hard you try, it will always come down. Sometimes you're trying too hard. Because I personally feel like we're trying too hard. If you really think about it, the biggest opportunities that came to you was not because you're trying the hardest. I can challenge a lot of people. The biggest opportunities come when you just relax. You do
Yeah.
your work. Of course, we all wake up every single day and we do what we do. But that sense of I have to hustle the hardest. People who are wealthy are not the one that are hustling. Hustle is a mindset of someone who does not have.
Right.
So you're stuck in that mindset that I'm without. I don't have enough. The odds are against me. I'm behind the eight ball. That's that. That's the energy field that you live in. No matter how much of a hustle or how much of an effort you put into it, you push in that hard. You manage to do just enough so you can keep going at that pace. But
Mhm.
then you see people who are just like, it's always been here. There are some people that I don't even know what they do all day, but they're living well. I mean, you know those people.
Yeah.
It's not like they're doing anything illegal. There's some people it's like, what do you do? Right?
Yeah.
But they're doing just fine
Right.
because they're not living in that energy field of lack of
Right.
or not
Yeah, I
enough.
use I use Robin Williams as an example. I probably used him in one of the leadership talks. It's like Robin Williams killed himself, right? So no one can define success for you.
Exactly.
Like I could tell you, I think you should. I could. It's different when I speak or when I fall in love with someone's potential, and then
Mm-hmm.
I try to. You're so much better than this. You can do so much more than this. You can have this, that, and the other. You just have to apply yourself. Like that old school way of kind of top down managing. That's not how someone gets to. If you want to live in a van down by the river and like make soap and sell it on Etsy, and that's what you find joy and success in, you live in the
It's
greatest country
all
on the planet.
good.
You can do it, right?
It's all good.
Yeah.
As long as you're okay with yourself, right? Because technically, when you're in America and you can afford this whatever lifestyle, like okay, we live in Florida, right? Pinellas County. If you live in this county and you can afford to live in this county, you're rich compared
Yeah.
to like the majority of the whole entire planet. Like you're wealthy.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
So, but why is it feeling so tough, right? Because we tell ourselves that whatever that place is somewhere ahead of us, right? So if you ask anyone,
Yeah. I'll be happy when.
when, so you keep kicking the ball forward, right? And it's like another example. When you go fishing, right? Even when you're on a pier, even when you're on a boat, have you noticed that people always cast forward just naturally? Wherever you are, you just want to cast forward. Why do you need to cast forward? Because whatever you are is never good enough. You
Yeah.
have to cast forward. So if you set up, you live in that energy field where everything good is ahead of you, that means you spend your whole life chasing it. And it's not that it's attainable, it's that you yourself, you've decided that's your contract, that I'm just going to keep chasing something for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because technically, everyone goes through ups and downs. Billionaires go through ups and downs, right? CEOs go through ups and downs. So whatever you think you're going through today does not define you.
Yeah.
It can just be one of those weeks of downs, and next week is going to be much better. Some months are good and some months are it's a little tight, but you'll be all right. If you look back, I mean, you've lived on this planet for how many years, right? All the things that you've been through, somehow, some way, you made it through and you're still standing.
And the crazy part is 41. So I've been through all
Yes.
kinds of ups and
Yes.
downs and this, that, and the other. Uh, there's only a handful of them that I could recall, right? I would have to do some deep work in the journal and like really get down to some of those
Exactly.
things. Like what's important? What's the things that I can recall? A divorce many years ago, the death of family members, that have been close. Uh, Aside from that, it's like I broke a couple of fingers. And you know what I mean? It's like, so when you're sitting in this I call it indecision purgatory. I like that word purgatory because it kind of hits you
Yeah.
between the eyes. But it's like, should I, shouldn't I? Pros, cons list. I could do this, that, and the other. When you're in that indecision purgatory, that's the worst. And you should
Yes.
either just like pick something and go. Right? It's really hard for us. But I think a lot of
Or
people.
like try to find value in where you are right now. Like try to magnify the positive in where you are exactly right now, right? Because again, we tell, like, for example, right? If I ask you, what's your dream? What would you say?
My dream, that's big. My
Yes.
dream. So I have to, the analytical brain in my that I am says, okay, my dream has 7 components. It's
Okay.
like, okay, it's finance, it's relationship, it's mission, vision, values. It's all those different buckets that I put my resources into.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
dream, how I define success is being able to look at myself in the mirror and have a good conversation and talk to myself like I talk to my clients. Like that's real success. How you talk to yourself when you're by yourself. My dream is to live a fulfilling life that's funded by adding value to people, right? Like those little bumper stickers. Like that's the dream. I think. If $1 billion landed in my lap today, I'd be like, holy shit, now what? Like, I don't. Would it ruin me? I don't know.
See, that's funny, right? They talk about the curse of the lotto
Yeah,
winners
yeah, yeah.
curse.
Oh, the
There's no
first person I hire is I'm saying, look, I'm hiring you. I'm gonna pay you $200,000 a year. Don't let me do anything stupid. Hold my cell phone when we go. Like, I don't want you to
Here's
let
the
me.
thing though. I can guarantee you, no matter who you hire, the same thing will happen because there's no such thing as a curse of lottery winners. The problem is the lottery winners live in the mind energy
Oh
field
yeah, 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 yeah.
of chaos, distraction, self-destructive patterns. The money is not going to change that. No matter how much money floods your way, if you yourself, you're on an energy level, this is who you are, you'll find a way to go right back to that.
I agree with that
And
100%.
that's what happens to every single one of them. So the money is in their bank account on the energy level, they're just not there. So they're gonna squander the money, they're gonna destroy their life, just everything some of them will drink themselves to death
Mm.
because they've already been on that destructive pattern, right? So to get back to the whole dream thing, right? Because I have to think about this very hard. It's like, what is my dream? I spent however many years, I came to this country like 23 years ago, chasing my dream, right? And it's like, I'm going to project another 23 years and I'll be still chasing my dream because that's what we do. We put it ahead of us, right? So let's take this as an example. When you go to sleep at night, right? You dream whatever dream you dream. Do you ever go to bed and say, a dream is not a dream until I dream that one dream when I go to sleep? we just go to sleep, and whatever dream we dream, and that's what it is. Sometimes it feels great, sometimes it's kind of scary, sometimes, but you wake up and you get on with your life. So if I said now, what is my dream? My dream is now. My dream is what I am doing now. This is my dream today. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
this moment is my dream. Having this conversation with you, this is my dream because I'm able to have this conversation with you. A year ago, I would not be able to have this conversation with you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Mm.
the person that I've become, right, over the years, this is my dream. So whatever happens next, I will experience that dream as well. So
Yeah.
if one day I become, I build a castle for myself, then that would be the dream that I'm living that day. But it doesn't have to be that I'm here today and my dream is tomorrow.
How do you hold the space for more, for wanting more, ambition, whatever, however you would, how do you both say, I love where I am currently, and yet I still have ambitions, or I still want more for my life. I still want more for my family. Like, how do you hold that?
So let me ask you this. Do you have to hate who you are today in order to be better tomorrow?
No, no, no.
Okay. Then if I have ambitions, I'm ambitious about things that inspire me, right? So for example, I wrote a book, right? So the book, I cannot just sit on it, right? I get copies of it, it's in my house, and then it is, it's available online. So what do? I'm inspired to get out there and talk to people about it and share the knowledge. And you know what I mean? So I'm motivated by my inspirations. Not necessarily that there's something wrong with me today that I'm trying to get rid of and have it better tomorrow. I'm excited about, well, if I'm going to take my kids to vacation at the end of the year, you start planning that trip. We're going to go to Italy, we're going to go to Greece, and you're going to go to this. It's going to cost this much. We want to fly first class or whatever. So how much are we going to need? Call it 30 grand, right? Now I'm excited to make 30 grand so that I can go to Italy at the end of the year. It doesn't mean that I don't like what I am today.
Yeah.
I'm just excited about that experience that I'm going to have because ultimately it's just experiences, right? If you become a homeowner and your house is beautiful, it's on the water, you have a pool, a jacuzzi, whatever, that's that experience. It's just an experience. You can have the same experience for one night or 2 nights just being in a very nice hotel in a third world country, and you pay a lot less for it, right? But if you want that experience where you can wake up every single day of the year and have that experience in front of the water with the pool and the jacuzzi, that experience is something that keeps you excited. Then just be excited about that experience that you want to have. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you today. It just means that you want to have that experience. So if you want to, because for example, why do people want to make so much money anyways? Seriously, everybody's like, oh, how do I make my first $1 million? How do I make 50 million? Why do you need $50 million?
I can answer that for me. I
Yes.
think
Why?
everyone's going to
Okay,
have a,
please answer. Why do you need $50 million?
I don't need $50 million. I want
Okay.
$50 million. I think
Why
that's
do
a
you want it?
distinction. I want it because I understand what it would take to get
Yes.
there. About so for my business to make $50 million,
Yes.
let's just use a ballpark number. That means 5,000 people
Yes.
would have grown their business, developed as a person, would have better marriages, would have better relationships with their kids, would be healthier in the bodies that they're like 50 mil, like that, the impact, the
Mm-hmm.
50 million, I could get like eat a dick. No one cares about the 50 million, right? Yes,
Exactly.
it would afford me to be able to do things in charity and give and travel and see and live a a standard above where I am now. I get that. But for me personally,
Yes.
the seeking of money, the wanting of money is directly related with how I earn my money, right? I talk to business owners, I help them grow their business, I help them get in better shape, help them have better conversations with their wife, and they pay me for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you took 50 million and divided it by the rate or whatever, that's how many lives would be impacted. That's why it's important for me to continue this thing. Did that answer the question?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
fair.
I'm not like Scrooge McDuck sitting up in my,
Counting
just
your pennies,
swimming in my
your
gold.
golds, your gold
Yeah, no, no,
coins.
no, no. That's not my style. I would have some flashy things. I would have some nice things.
Yes,
I think we're all like, there's a little vanity in all of us.
of
So
course. So, okay, most people, right, at the end of the day,
most people don't know. Most people, the reason they don't have money, I'm firmly convinced of this, is they want more money. And the reason that they don't have more money is they haven't clearly articulated what they would do with it. Right?
exactly.
I look at like fought the god of time and the god of money, and I look at all of them going up there going, wait a minute. You pray and hope for more time, but you waste what you have and you don't know what you would do with more of it. Why in the hell would I give you more time, money, whatever it is, right? So for me, until you can clearly articulate those goals, and I think that's the piece, that was the idea that I just had. That's what I wrote down. How do you hold being okay with where I am and still having ambition? I think having those goals allows you to do that. Knowing that I have a target of X, Y, and Z, and I have a process to get there allows you to go, I can be in this moment because I know the direction. I have the map, I have the tools, I have the does that make sense? And I think a
Yeah,
lot of people don't.
that's
They're like, I want to be wealthy. Well, for
exactly.
what?
That's exactly my point. Why do you need $50 million when you don't even know what you're going to do with it? Then it becomes like you tie a rope around your neck. $50
Mm,
million is heavy. You tie a rope around your neck and you're carrying it around. It's like, I want to make $50 million. And that's what it feels like. But if you really think about it, what do people want, right? They want respect. They want to be recognized as someone who's doing well in life. They want a nice and safe car. A nice car is not just nice to the eye. A nice car means it's safe, right? That it's not going to break down in the middle of the road or whatever. So your family is running around and you know they're safe. The car is nice and good and safe. They want to live in a neighborhood where they feel safe. They surround themselves with like-minded people or whatever. The house is comfortable, enough space for whatever they want to do. Whatever their hobbies are, they want to cater to that, all that stuff, right? It really boils down to few basic things that the vast majority of people you will talk to want the same thing. Wanting is not very special. Needing is not very, everybody wants something.
mm,
Everybody needs something. You're not that special just because you want it, right? However, if you can find a way to get excited, get it, so just like he said, the difference that you're gonna make in those people's lives, you look back, you're like, wow, this is my life's work. This is what I did, right? That gets you inspired. And if you're inspired enough, you will attract enough of those opportunities to have a great life. And that can translate to 1 million, 2 million, 3 millions, or 50 million. Who knows? Do you understand what I'm saying? But as a
yeah.
person, you'll be taken care of. You feel this fulfillment that I'm living the life that I'm meant to live. I'm being the person that I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really ultimately like, are you being the person that you know you're supposed to be?
Yeah. Congruency. Yeah. Are
Yes.
you living congruent?
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and that, of course, that means that you don't want to be struggling. I mean, trust me, you do not want to be broke. Not in this
Yeah.
country. Not, no, seriously, it doesn't feel good. However, if you think about it, somehow, some way, your basic needs are met. Somehow, some way, right? But then we want this or that, the little extra, the little comfort, right? We want, okay, I have enough for today, but do I have enough for the next 10 years? Do I have enough for my kids to be okay for the next whatever generation? Then you give yourself these, it becomes like an obsession. You don't need to obsess over money because who you are today, you just fine
Mm.
as you are. Now, I'm saying this easier said than done, okay? We all go through our troubles and struggles and stuff like that. I'm just speaking in principle. Just think about it,
Yeah.
okay? As you are today, standing where you are now, the knowledge that you have, the influence that you've had, the people that you've touched, the things that you've done in your life, you've done enough. If only you allow yourself to accept that. And accepting doesn't mean that you stop trying.
Right.
It actually gives you more energy to do more. Because if you could wake up every day criticizing yourself, you feel weak. That's not an energy of growth, right? So if you feel good about yourself, no matter what, today might feel a little sour, but man, it's been many years that you've been out here doing whatever it is that you're doing. You've done some good things in your life, right? Just focus on that and get excited about whatever that influence you want to have on people. Because think about it though, if you have that kind of influence, you won't even be counting your money. It will just be there. You'll
Yeah.
just be busy doing. You'll be busy being.
I have a different take in that I like the 80-20 rule.
Mm-hmm.
like to spend 80% in the positive growth, encouraging mindset. I love the 20% of the dark side too, because and I'll use a gym reference since
Uh-huh.
it was leg day today, right? And I
Yeah.
cycle. Some days I go in there and I want to really push some heavy weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're in sunshine and rainbows and la di da and everything's
Mm-hmm.
great, and you stack that thing up with a lot of weight on it, you're not going to be able to push as much as someone just slapped your kid, called your wife a name, cut you off in traffic, or spit in your mom's face. Like getting to that energy, that I call it
Mm-hmm.
the fu energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I can push a lot more weight. I can push to that next boundary. I don't want to stay in dark energy. I don't want to stay in dark energy, but I also love using it as a tool, right? Like I went in I ran in a 5K a couple of weeks ago, and I was all mindset was I'm just gonna get out here, la di da. It's for charity, it's this thing. And when I get onto the starting line, I'm looking around, being I'm getting ready to smoke these idiots. Like they don't even know. I'm getting ready to put the screws. Like there's this little switch that flips, which I think is healthy to an extent. Like I don't wish any ill will on anybody. I'm not gonna like
Yeah.
elbow some old lady to get to win a 5K, but at the same time, I like being able to talk into, like, if you and I get on the treadmill, I'm going to still be there when you give up. Like I like
Yeah.
tapping into that energy a little bit.
So you're calling it dark?
I call it there's a dark and a light side.
Yeah.
And
Like the little
I have learned how to, I think it's about being intentional. A lot of it's about being intentional. So I'm going into the gym for an hour.
yeah.
I'm going in that hour when I'm underneath last set, brain's going, you said you were going to do 10 reps and you're only at number 7. You got to get that little extra oomph. That's when
Mm-hmm.
it's like someone just slapped your kid. That's why I listen to this like trash metal heavy music. It's like trap music and things like that, because it helps you get in there and it helps you push a little bit more. I like being able to flip that switch, pull that tool out and use it, but don't spend too much time there.
Let me ask you a question. Let's say that for whatever reason, hypothetically, there is a weight that it's falling on your kid,
Yeah.
okay? And you get to jump in front and hold that weight. I don't care. 500 pounds or whatever, enough for your kid to get out from underneath it. Okay.
Mhm.
You'll do something that you didn't think was physically possible. Okay. Now compare that energy to somebody just slapped your kid. Would you be able to lift 500 pounds?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I see the distinction there, but
Okay.
about the same. I mean, I think we're talking about the same energy.
So what I'm saying is that motivation that you're talking about, you can base it on the love that you have for your child. It
Yeah,
doesn't have necessarily that somebody slapped your child. It can be, you know what? If it's this what I
I
have to
love you
do,
enough. I love you enough to do.
yes,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
this is what I have to do for you to be safe right now, I'll do 10 times more.
I think that's the same result. My brain doesn't there's
Exactly.
a difference when the
So
5K.
you need that
Yeah,
fuel. That's your fuel of
yeah,
choice, which
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
fair.
yeah,
It's fair. That's your fuel of choice. We
yeah.
all different, right? So what
I
I'm
think for
saying
the
is
love part comes after. It's I loved you enough to get in the dark energy to save you, right? That's yeah, it's easy to like when the starting gun goes off,
yes.
boom, right?
Yeah.
And if I say run, boom. There's a
Yes.
difference when the gun's pointed at you and when it's pointed, when it's a toy gun pointed in the air and when it's a gun pointed at you, that's same boom.
Same boom. Yeah, that's true.
So when you look at
So
like, so it's the consequences that we put towards, right? A slap versus getting squished by a 500 pound. You know what I mean? So consequences. I always have my clients, I'll say, here's a commitment.
yes.
Is this your commitment? You commit to this. Yep.
Yeah.
You're going to do this. You understand fully what it is. Yep.
Yeah.
We've identified it, XYZ. Yep. You got it. Good. Commit to
Yeah.
it. What are the consequences for not getting it done? And I've had everything from like public pies in the face, shaving cream cars, donating money to opposite political parties, giving wives X money, ex-wives money, all kinds of stuff. It's
Mm-hmm.
the consequences that we have to hold there as that little extra motivation to keep yourself in integrity, right?
So that's a very interesting point, which kind of segues into what I was saying earlier about the diet, right? Because you have this diet that you need a little bit of that edge, right? That's what keeps you going. That's your diet, right? However, there are other people that you would talk to that would say, you know what? I think of my kids. Like you see people is running the marathon, they have this little chain or whatever. It's like, I'm doing this so that my kids can see that anything is possible and if daddy can do it, then I can do it too. And my family can finally say, you know what? We are not losers and we can win too.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one way to look at it, right? And another way to say these people have no idea what's coming to them. I'm gonna you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if that's your diet of choice, that's all good. As long as you understand the dynamics of it. It's all energy.
Yeah.
It's however you want to charge your energy to take you the furthest. That's what will take you the furthest, as long as you're honest with yourself. It's when you turn against yourself that the problem starts to it becomes corrosive. You can't
Yeah. When
be
you sell out. Yeah.
yeah, that's just literally over time you feel like you're rusting. Like it's just doesn't feel right. So
So
whatever it is, yeah, go ahead.
is the goal then to are you going to start doing what's the goal for the coaching, because that's really got me excited. I'm thinking about the funnels and how we drive traffic. Like my brain always goes there a little bit, but what's the goal for
There are
having a
multiple facets of this. Okay. You can look at this from a personal development standpoint, business, relationships, or whatever. Because again, identifying the different types of trauma that you've been exposed to helps you understand a lot of things about yourself. Okay. In the book, I defined 5 character types. Basically, when you're under pressure, you become one of 5 character types. You're either a runner or an avoider, or you like confrontational, or you are a victim type.
You think we have pieces, not to cut you off, but do you think we are one, or do you think it's, I don't know, in my brain it's like situational.
Yes. So in the book, I explain that aspect of it too.
Okay.
I think there's one character type that's your default.
You lean on, yeah.
Yeah, it's like places that you live versus places that you visit. There is one character type that is your default. I would say 80% of the time you're that person. But then when triggered or faced with certain situation, we switch. So in certain situations, you can become a really good negotiator. In certain situations, you assert your voice and say, nope, this is not happening, right?
Mm,
Somebody's messing with your kid, is like, I'm not negotiating,
right.
right? Or you can be in a situation where it's like, well, it's better to just kind of avoid it for a while and see how things go. So we all do this. It's not just one person, it just has to be one thing all the time. However, knowing your default and whoever you're dealing with, knowing their default helps
Oh yeah.
because you know how to deal with them. If they're avoiders, do you know they're avoiding you? It's nothing personal, just give them a sense of direction. The victim types, whatever it is, they have to be the victims. Don't take it personal. That's just how they are.
Mm.
There are people who are always confrontational. Everything you do has to become some sort of conflict. It's like we're having lunch. It's like, yeah, everything is a conflict. So you just know these things about people. It helps you navigate personalities and situations. So that's one aspect of it where you can use this as just personal development, personal growth type of thing. It will help you in your business. It'll help you with, your relationships. However, the biggest aspect of the proxy method thing that I'm working on is emotional healing. Okay. We all live with several rounds of emotional trauma. Okay. We don't like to call it trauma because it sounds like you have issues. So we just call it life was tough.
Yeah.
But we all have trauma. And the thing with trauma is it's a wound, like it's an emotional wound. Even if you think you healed, because people think just let time go by and you feel better. Well, time doesn't really heal anything. It just creates enough distraction between the event. And just because you recall it less doesn't mean that you heal. That's why you're only one trigger away, right? So the goal is to help people identify these trigger points because those are the things that determine how you're living. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You can be very unhappy and miserable with a few $1 million in your bank account. And I've seen it many times. That means right now you're telling yourself that money is a problem to solve. You will solve it and you'll still be miserable. Then what?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the point of what I'm doing, is to help people really get to the bottom of why is it that you feel so terrible by yourself? Haven't you done enough? Like what is the reason why you cannot be completely at peace with yourself? And if you take an analytical approach, you get to the bottom of all of it. I can tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the reason why you feel this way about yourself. Once you figure that out, then you can clear. It's all energy. All the negative, the dark, whatever you're carrying with you, it's all energy. That energy is preventing you from opening up and truly being who you are and just embracing yourself as you are, right? If you manage to clear that energy, you know, okay, this is actually who I am. This is how I want to live my life. If that translates to $50 million in the bank, great. If that translates to you living on a sailboat and just traveling the world and not caring about anything, then great. if that translates to being the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and if that's what makes you happy, then great. At least you know why you are the person that you are, and this is exactly who you always wanted to be, and that's all right. So that's really the goal, because I feel like no matter what we do, there's always something lingering inside of you that's just not quite right. It's just not quite enough. Or you have it all, but then somehow you find yourself back into the cycles of self-doubt, self-destruction.
Don't you think that's by design though? I don't I don't think
Yes.
no. So this is I believe in God.
Yes.
But take all I've studied a lot of the religions just so that I
Mm-hmm.
would have the framework of that. Like there's no one in the Bible
Mm-hmm.
that of all the gurus, like
Yes.
Moses, right? The
Yes.
one of the founders of it all, like had conversations with God, right?
Yes.
I don't think at the end or any part of his life he went, I am here. I am now the guru. Thank you. I know all there is. You know what I mean? We're not designed to ever. I think that's the part that a lot of people hang up with. They put this destination. They have this destination mindset. Yeah, there needs to be mile markers and things like that, but it's like we talked about earlier. When I get here, I'll be happy. Or when I get, or if I bought a sailboat and cruise around the world, that's my dream. I would be happy. Like and maybe that's my personality. I have a hard time with putting a destination to that because I've seen so much evolution in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen so many things. Like I married, I gave a woman a ring and then divorced her, right? So in the ring part, I was like, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with this person, and then things go sideways. So
Mm-hmm.
there's I think that's where my hang up is going, this is what I want to be. And it's more my language would be like, this is what I want to chase for this season. This is what
Yeah.
I want to. Does that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Because I've been the director of foods, I've been the director of things, right? Which I thought I wanted to
yeah.
be there, and I
Well,
got the salary, and I
that's
got all that stuff.
exactly that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like we go through life, right? And we do what we're supposed to do. And that's supposed to do, like the expectations will lead you into having a certain life. Like
Mm,
they tell you go to school and get an education, you get the education, right? So depending on the education you get, then there are certain job opportunities that open up in front of you. You take the best one, right? That's what you're supposed to do. Supposed to. So you take the best one. They pay you better, blah, blah, blah. You in charge, blah, 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 right? You do that for 5, 6 years, you get tired of it. Now you're like, what am I supposed to do next? I'm
right.
supposed to get married. I'm supposed to be, you know what I mean? So we do this evolution of expectations, what is expected of us. So technically, you don't really know who you are. Technically, you've never met yourself. Okay. So the exercise is simply for you to meet yourself for the first time without all the expectations and without all the, I'm this as a result of this trauma, right? If you clear that up, you meet who you are for the first time. Whatever that looks like might be scary to some people. Then you decide what kind of life you want to live with it. It
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with you should do this or do that. If you want to be a guru, if that's your inspiration and you feel like you're that person, then be that person. There's no apologies for being who you are as long as you come to terms with, wow, this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is just me in the mirror. There's nothing else in the way, and this is who I am. Now what?
Yeah. And then being okay to take a left turn 10 years later when it's like, this isn't who I want to
Exactly.
be
If you
anymore.
get tired of it, just do something else. And that's
So,
another thing we get caught up in this. Who am I, right? So you carry this identity that I'm supposed to be the person that has this title and does these things, and then how long are you gonna be that again? Oh, it's been
mm,
12 years. I'm kind of tired of it though. But no, you have to be that person that carries that label. I personally don't care anymore.
Well,
because I
there's that
used to.
sunk cost, fallacy or whatever. I've already got this many years into it. I've already got this much amount of money
Exactly.
into
No
it.
matter how
Can't let go of it
exciting
now.
it is, right?
Yeah.
No matter how exciting it is, you're like, okay, I'm the CEO of this company. I've done it for 12 years. The salaries just keep coming. I'm keep saving money. I have all my stock options or whatever, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
It's not so exciting anymore.
Yeah. And then when you brush your teeth at night, you hate yourself, right? Like that's
Exactly.
yeah. I think the work that you're doing is important. I think the book, again, I'm what 12, 15 pages into it.
Yeah.
Um, I'm excited for you and your career, and I want to help do any of that stuff that I can, and just kind of be in your orbit.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
how do you write or finish the sentence "I am"? That's really like what do you what are you now?
I am the person bringing you this message right now.
Hmm.
5 minutes from now, I'll be the person opening the door and telling someone, leave me alone. I don't have time for this. I don't have to be one thing. I can be anything. I can be anywhere. And I'm good with that.
So how do you describe your identity then? Because that seems a little like,
Do you need an identity?
and maybe that's me. Maybe that's my
Because the
limited.
identity is for other people to feel comfortable around you. So you choose whatever identity you want to give them.
Maybe let's
Because
define identity, because identity to me is the operating system for the machine.
to me, that's the essence. I find my essence, right? I'm okay with my essence. I don't quite care about the identity. I was born somewhere. I lived somewhere. There are times where I was called a name, and there's another time I was called other names. My father calls me one thing, my mother calls me another thing. When I'm around my family and friends, I speak French. When I'm here, I speak English. When I'm in Togo, I speak Mina. Like what identity can, like, I've been in sales in many ways. I've been a real estate agent, I've been a real estate broker, I've been a
So let
marketing
me
agency
go the other way.
owner.
Let me go the other way. Let me go the other way then. Are
Yes,
there times when that
yes,
voice in your head says, "What in the world am I? This mutt from God knows where, this tall black man of a certain years from all over with all of my experience. What am I doing here? Like, is there ever an imposter syndrome or doubt or fear or any of that?"
yes,
So, in
yes,
order to have doubt, fear, imposter syndrome, you would have to have that based on some kind of identity or future you, or
yes,
right?
yes. So the identity struggle again came from what I thought people thought of me. Like when I wrote the book, and when I say these things, I'm not immune to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I'm working through it myself. I'm just telling you what I believe, right?
sure.
So when I wrote the book, right, I started writing the book. It sounded like psychology book, but it's not really psychology. Well, it's like kind of in between a little bit of psychology and spirituality. So it's like, okay, I'm not a psychologist, right? I mean, what gives me the authority to write a book about psychology? Um, or like, oh, I've only been in real estate for 3 years and now I'm a broker. Do I have enough experience to be a broker? Or I mean, when I started my video marketing company, I didn't even know how to film or edit. I hired video production people, right? So what gave me the authority to start a video production company? So all these things that we tell ourselves what we think other people would be questioning about us. But in reality, the moment that I'm okay with what I'm telling you, right? I'm telling you, okay, I can add PhD to my name right now. Will it make any difference of how valid what I'm telling you is about yourself? But I'm just a person sharing information. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm not asking you to change anything. I've seen for myself that these things, there's a lot of people are struggling with it, right? And I practiced it on myself. I taught other people, and I've seen people change, transform, right? So I'm like, I'll share it. I'll share what I know. That's it. Do I need an identity for that? And I struggle with it. I spent so many weeks on ChatGPT trying to define self-analysis, coach, and mind energy healing, blah, 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 whatever. That's for other people, right? So I'll come up with something that would resonate enough with other people for them to understand what it is that I'm doing,
Yeah.
enough that we can have a conversation.
Right. Because you'll have to market it somehow.
Yes, but it has nothing to do with my own sense of identity.
Hmm.
That's my presentation. That's my branding.
Got it.
So I guess people need to make that distinction, right? I mean, you're a public speaker, you're a coach, right? But
Hmm.
also you have your technical skills and your work skills, and you work and you make money, right? Okay. When you're talking to someone about coaching, you present yourself as such. Is that your identity? That's just the packaging that you present in front of them in that moment, right? And then you can turn around and you have another conversation about funnels and all that stuff. And that's a completely different identity. Now, I know you. You can take whatever identity you want. I'm like, okay, Kelly's Kelly. Cool. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we do this to ourselves, and all it's mainly about being marketable, right? You try to make yourself marketable, but that's not your identity though. Like I focus on my essence as a person. The personalities, identities, that's that clothes that you wear. One day you wear a suit, one day you wear white t-shirt, one day you wear whatever. It's all good.
Yeah.
The hardest part is you telling yourself that other people are criticizing you. If you get rid of that, you're free. You can do whatever. They don't even have to like you.
For sure.
So that's that's my truth. I'm sharing it. You can believe me or not, but that's the code that I live by.
I love it.